Okay, we're going to get started. I want to welcome everybody to our program today from the League of Women Voters of Fremont-Newark-Union City. My name is Andrea Schachter, and we're really pleased that we have so many people here today to learn about our upcoming ballot in November. November 4th is Election Day, and we're here to learn about California Proposition 50 and Local Measure B. Today's program will be recorded and it will be loaded on our website, at the League of Women Voters website, pretty soon. So for those of you who know people who would have liked to have come, or even if you want to, even if they didn't say that and you want to say, hey, this is really great, watch this, direct them to our website after we have it loaded. Before we begin, I want to ask everybody to silence your devices. And as soon as I get off of the podium here, I'm going to do mine because I didn't do it yet. And also be aware that the restrooms are out the back door and down the hall to the right. Okay. We want to say also that we very, very much appreciate our partnership with the Niles Discovery Church, which provides this really extraordinary space for us to have our monthly programs for our speaker series. It's been a great opportunity for the community and for us, and we're really appreciative to the Niles Discovery Church. So first I want to say just a word about the League. The League of Women Voters is a national organization that's been around for more than 100 years. And our local league here in the Tri-City area has been around for more than 50 years. Everybody is welcome to join. Any citizen is welcome to join, females and males. Even though there were League of Women Voters, we have a lot of members who are men. As a matter of fact, our first male member was our former mayor, Gus Morrison, okay, our first male league member. And now he's blazed the trail for lots of other men. So men out there, think about it. Okay, our mission in the League of Women Voters is to encourage active participation in government. We work to increase understanding of major public policy issues and influence public policy through study, education, and advocacy. We are nonpartisan. We never endorse or oppose a particular candidate or a particular political party. However, and this is important, once individuals are elected, they are no longer candidates. They become public servants, okay? Whatever party they're in, they are then, once they're elected, they're public servants, and they are responsible for representing all of their constituents, regardless of party affiliation. Holding elected officials accountable to the public interest is not a partisan act. It is a vital function of a healthy democracy. We are nonpartisan, but we are not neutral. We do not stand silent when democracy is under threat and voter access is restricted, or when misinformation spreads. We do not remain silent in those situations. When these things happen, the League has a responsibility to speak out clearly and forcefully. There's a copy of our nonpartisan policy on the back table as you leave. We have a literature table, and if you want to pick one up, there are copies back there. And I also want to direct you to a membership form. If you would like to join the League of Women Voters, we have a copy of this on the back table as well. So now onto our program. Our pro-con on California Proposition 50 is the first proposition that will be the first issue that will be presented, and it will be done so by Angelina Reyes. And the pro-con on Local Measure B is being presented by Anna Jacoby. After each presentation, there will be an opportunity for questions and answers and comments. And we will allow 1 minute for each question or comment. Okay? So, without further ado, Angelina. Okay.
Thank you, Andrea. The nonpartisan policy is the sheet, looks like this, and I encourage you to take one and read that to further explain the league's position. Also available today at the back table is the Easy Voter Guide for Proposition 50 that was put in speed, the rate of a spaceship to get this done so that we could have it available to distribute to our voters, our friends and relatives. And we have some in the back for you to take. And if you already know all about it, take it to your grandkids and say, better vote. At our house, we got like 4 or 5, and it's okay, one for you. You need to read it. And what I'm talking about is this. I think it's familiar looking to everyone. Got this from the county and this from the state. So we're well equipped with what we need to make a decision on November 4th. But many of us will get our ballots after October 6th, I believe. So we'll be able to vote almost a month before November 4th. So it's important that you're knowledgeable, because you are more the ones who turn out are the ones who really are responsible voters. And I think I know that each and every one of you are going to vote. You don't neglect your right to vote. But there are some folks who just say, I'm only going to vote for president, and they vote every 4 years. So we encourage you to encourage others. Next slide. This is a slide for the ballot tracks. So if you want to track your ballot once you send it in, it's postage paid. You don't have to change, it doesn't allow you to change your ballot, voter registration, but it is from the Secretary of State, and we're trusting that our ballot is in the mail when we send it back. And so you can take a picture if you want to see where that website is, so that you can track your ballot once you vote and you mail it back in. And don't forget to sign it. So how we work. The league does not, as Andrea said, does not support or oppose candidates, but we do encourage informed and active participation in our government. That means observing, looking at agendas, checking out their minutes, and attending. We also work to increase understanding of major public policy issues through the education, and we influence public policy through advocacy. And the league does research and studies in depth particular subjects, and then they present a position, and every league that is, even local leagues, will study that position and return with their comments and their position. And recently, this year, 2020, we started in November of 2024, the league was able to do a judiciary study on our judiciary system, and so a position was developed. We have those published in a book. Let's see. So this book, this is Impact on Issues from 2024. In 2022, in the Denver National Convention, it was decided that we needed to publish these. And these are the positions for the League National. And every state will also attribute to them and do their studies and their programs because we have positions. And so now there's a new one. This used to cost $5 on Amazon, and now I believe it's $7 for one a little bit larger. I printed mine out. You can print it out free on your computer, but I printed mine out, and now it includes the judiciary study, and so it has a position for us to be able to do the programs that we do because we have a position on it, and we know what that position is to request speakers and also develop programs for our local leagues. So this is available on Amazon if you'd like, or if you can go on our website for the National League, I believe you can download it for free, and then you can do research on your computer because it's now on your computer. Just a little advertisement for how we do things and why we do it. The pros and cons is a nonpartisan explanation of Proposition 50. Let me switch. So how do you evaluate ballot measures? First of all, do you agree with what the measure is about? Is it easy to understand? Does it mandate money, but there's no funding for it? Does it amend the Constitution? And this proposition does amend our state constitution. Does it remember campaign literature is neutral? No. Campaign literature is not factual either. So not always non-factual, but who does the funding? Who does the funding for the measure? Have to consider that, and we will have information on that. And then another, if you'd like to take a picture with your phone, transparency portal is the California Fair Political Practices Commission. That was done in 1974, I believe, to keep candidates up on top and reporting all the funding that they get for their candidacy. And in highlighting the money, then you know who's supporting and who's opposing. And any committee that raises $1 million or more and are primarily formed to support or oppose a state ballot, and any formed committees that raise $1,000 or $1 million or more to support or oppose a state candidate as well. That information you will find on that website, fppc.ca.gov. Again, it's a California supported by the California state. There's also a Cal Access, which is on the Secretary of State's website. And the Secretary of State is required to add the total contributions reported by campaign committees primarily formed to support or oppose a qualified ballot measure, and to report the sum of those totals as a single amount of total contributions to support or oppose the ballot measure. And they keep going up. So we can access Cal Access as additional information. This is a very important nonpartisan election information websites. There are websites put out by the state on this side, as I said, the Cal Access, the Fair Political Practices, and the LAO. The LAO is the Legislative Analyst's Office, and that's where you see every single word of what this measure is about. And in this measure, there is a portion that says California is asking the United States Congress to consider California as a model of how we have a redistricting commission. So that is why you see those informational commercials that say we're defending America, we're defending democracy, because the model is a good model of the state of California's redistricting commission, and the governor and the legislature decided to put a little bit in there. It's not a requirement, it's not, hey, it's a request, or they're asking the United States Congress to check us out. So that's what the legislative analyst's office is. It gives you all the nitty-gritty, all the legislative, all of the legals, terms that are used in this, for this measure, Proposition 50. And then there's the league sites. The league has Vote 411 for candidates and measures. There's the League California Education Fund, and there's the California League itself. And then, of course, we have our local league, and we've been attempting, and we've been successful in placing a lot of information for our local communities. And then, of course, there's other nonprofits like Cal Matters and Ballotpedia. Both of those are nonprofits that develop and research and report on various legislative and voter rights activities that go on. So you can see, in particular Ballotpedia, what's going on in another state, and they highlight that. It's called something like Morning Brew or something. It's very interesting to learn about what other states are doing. And so those are websites you might want to take a picture of for your information. Here's Proposition 50, and it is a constitutional amendment number 8. It's temporary redistricting. Remember that word, temporary. And this measure temporarily requires a new congressional district maps as passed by the legislature in August. So they're already set. And to be used in California's congressional elections through 2030. In 2031, it'll go back to the California Redistricting Commission, and they will develop the maps after the census in 2030. It retains that independent citizens redistricting, as I just said. And it establishes state policy supporting use of fair, independent, and nonpartisan redistricting commissions nationwide. California has 52 districts, and the district lines are usually drawn every 10 years. Voters choose one representative every 2 years for our district, and Prop 50 replaces the current congressional district maps with new ones used in, or proposed to be used in starting 2026. We passed Proposition 11 in 2008, which set up this California Citizens Redistricting Commission, and it has 5 Democrats, 5 Republicans, and 4 not registered with either of those parties. When it draws the maps, it has to follow, of course, the federal and state laws, and it avoids splitting up neighborhoods and cities and local communities. It prohibits considering political parties, and then we start smiling, current office holders or people running for office when it draws the maps. So this, just a chuckle, this is how it sort of began. This phrase started in 1812, and it was sort of named by Elbridge Gerry. Mr. Gerry was the 5th Vice President of the United States. I believe he may have signed some of our freedoms that we have. And I'm not sure if he signed the Constitution, but he may have signed the Bill of Rights. But he became a governor after all of his statesmanship and got a bad name. Actually was a pretty good statesman. But he decided in Massachusetts that he wanted to do his own maps, and so it looked like a mythical Grecian salamander, so they named it after him. So that, I believe it was the Boston Gazette that started naming it that, and so he got a bad name, but he was a pretty good statesman. So this is the map of congressional districts and what it looks like. And again, you'll have it in the maps, I believe, are in one of these. Did you already You may have already noticed them in the state. And there are a number of maps in your, yes, Proposition 50. There's a number of maps if you haven't received this. They're in there. And you can also go online. You can type in your address and type in your address and it should give you the districts. Let's check. So next slide. This is the maps for our current district and the proposed district. I don't know if you can differentiate, but they do maybe 1% loss on the Democratic side, and then the Republican has 0 loss. And this is from calmatters.org, and you can look for that online as well. A yes vote means the state would use a new set of maps from 2026 through 2030. And then in 2031, the commission comes back into play. A no vote means keeps the existing congressional districts, there's no move at all, and it's in place through 2030. One-time costs, according to the LAO, is a few $1 million statewide. And one-time cost for the state is approximately $200,000. So these counties would have to revise their maps and do what all they do, and it's going to cost in California, all of the counties, about a few $1 million. So what your vote means. The supporters say stop Trump from rigging the 2026 election. Trump and Texas Republicans are making a power grab to steal congressional seats for the 2020 election. It ensures the 2020 midterm elections are conducted in a level playing field. These maps are temporary and expire in 2030. And it keeps more cities and counties combined and communities together than existing maps. And the supporter says it protects democracy in all 50 states. California has a duty to defend democracy, to lead the nation in protecting voter rights and fair elections, and calls for a nationwide commitment to fair and impartial maps. And it gives voters the ability to approve these district lines this election. And it keeps California a leader in fair elections by preserving independent redistricting. If I have some notes, these slides were prepared by some really informed members of our league, and they weren't able to be here today. But Rita Manning, who is a retired San Jose professor and well-versed in election democracy and constitutional law, as well as Sam Neiman, who was one of our leaders, has been our leader in our local district and our local league, sorry. And so we want to thank them. When you see them, thank them for all of their hard work and doing the research. So California has a duty to defend democracy, and we want to stress that as part of what it means to our state. And let's see where we're at next. Opponents. Opponents say it puts the politicians in charge. Prop 50 is drawing their district, politicians are drawing their own districts according to this, what opponents say. And it removes requirements to keep the cities together. It divides and splits counties. It says 114 times and cites 100 and cities 141 times, far more than the current citizen drawn maps. And it costs taxpayers $200 million when the state is cutting funding to important programs. The opponents also say it repeals landmark voter-approved election reforms, which was done in 2008. And the Independent Redistricting Commission is supposed to draw these maps, not politicians. And it replaces an open public process and now deals with backroom deals. It's not temporary. It sets a dangerous precedent, opening the door to drawing election maps beyond 2031. And here's the money. And this is the money as of when? September 16th, Anna? Later than that? Oh, okay, September 26th. Yes. And so the Supporters Public Fund is now, policy reform is $10 million. The Move On PAC is $6,900,000, as you can see. The California Teachers PAC is $3 million, and the nurses are $2,500,000, and Michael Moritz, $2,500,000. The opponents are the Congressional Leadership Fund, $41,700,000, and Mr. Munger keeps giving money, and he's at 30.1, and I believe in the news he might have done 3 million more. So it keeps going up. And you can find these again at CalAccess or at Fair Political Practices Commission.gov. And the Secretary of State's office calculates just the totals. So the details are in the Fair Political Practices Commission's website, and the totals are in the Secretary of State's office. So there's a number of places where you can access. So we already said that. It was the Fair Political Practices Commission was founded in 1974 with Proposition 9, and it does restrict fundraising and lobbying in the country. It's actually in the state. And there's the website, and click top contributor list, and you can see who's the top contributor. So that concludes my presentation, and I believe, Andrea, we're going to have discussion now. And
Questions? Comments? Portable mic.
You're welcome to say a comment, but it's 1 minute long.
I just want to remind everyone that you don't have to put a stamp on your ballot if you mail it. We live at the end of Mill Creek, and our first election that we had was when Carter was defeated by Reagan, the national. And we didn't get our ballots. And I called the office in Oakland, and I was pissed. There's not a polite way to say it. And I made them bring our ballots out to the ranch. And I was so upset that I wrote a letter to March Fong Yu, who was the Secretary of State at the time. And I also put in the letter, I don't think we should have to put a stamp on it. I think it should be free. And 3 months later, I got a letter from her saying, we changed the law. You don't have to put a stamp on it anymore. And I wasn't even a league member then. I was just a pissed voter. So, and it probably had some small effect, but anyway. But you don't, just remember, you don't have to put a stamp on it.
Alex, thank you. Okay, so you can say, so back then, we saved a little bit of money on stamps, and now it keeps going up. So there you have it. Okay, Judy.
Well, I don't know if you can answer this question, and I didn't get a picture, but is it possible for you to tell us more about the two multi-million-dollar individuals that contributed? There was one very wealthy Republican, or not a Republican, but against, and one for. Yeah. Okay. Michael Moritz is $2,500,000, and Charles T. Munger is $30 million, And I just would like to know, what do these folks do for a living?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you know the answer,
I believe Moritz is also, he's a Silicon Valley entrepreneur.
So I guess we can look them up on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we had looked them up.
Okay, Michael Moritz is a venture capitalist and former managing partner of Sequoia Capital. So again, a securities firm. And then I believe there's also a Mr. Wendy and Eric Schmidt, who also are venture capitalists. Let's see if I can find Mr. Munger.
I think as Valerie said, he is a partner with Warren Buffett in the investment company, but he's more than that. Oh, he's, okay. Okay. Top opposing donors, the largest donor is Charles T. Munger, contributing $30.1 million, 85.4% of the opposition's total funds. Munger, a physicist and political donor, is the son of Charles Munger Sr., who was a business partner at Berkshire Hathaway. He was chairperson of the Santa Clara County Republican Party. The second largest donor, contributing $5 million. The Congressional Leadership Fund is a super PAC that focuses on electing Republicans to the U.S. House of Representatives. So this came from the Fair Political Practices Commission of California at that website, fppc .ca.gov, I think, something like that. Just, the Fair Political Practices Commission. Yeah, here you go.
I think it's important to know that Charles Munger is the original supporter of the Citizens Redistricting Commission.
Thank you. Okay, Saida.
Yeah, and the league actually worked with him to pass the original redistricting reform. Now I believe our position is neutral. My question is, do the supporters have an estimate of how many additional seats they think they can pick up on one side or the other? And also, I guess, has anyone looked at what will happen when this goes across the nation?
I can't answer that second part because who knows what those other states are going to do, but I believe that the California one was meant to balance Texas, so they gained 5, and this one is supposed to gain 5 for California.
And this is primarily for congressional districts, and what about?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Jane.
So I'm getting tired of these ads already. My gosh, they're all over TV, and I hate the idea that we hate to have to put up with this for another month. But neither side gets it right. I mean, they're all poking at each other. I've been a league member of this league for 49 years, and the California State League has chosen to remain neutral on this measure, but I am not neutral. I'm very much opposed to it. I remember the fight that we had to get Proposition 11 passed in 2008. And I will say authoritarianism is not an abstract for us anymore. It's here, it's dangerous, it's a true threat to constitutional democracy. But the way you defend democracy is not to abandon democratic principles, and even temporarily, and take on, do what the authoritarians are doing. I think that was very important legislation we passed in 2008. The California Redistricting Commission has done a wonderful job, as good as I think can be done. And after the 2020 census, they had public hearings and so forth. There were no challenges to those maps then, not by the supporters of this proposition or anybody else. Now we're asked, our system has become, as was mentioned, a gold standard for the rest of the country, an example of a system that works, of how you can defend gerrymandering. And now we're asked to undermine that gold standard. And I think that temporary exemptions tend not to be temporary. If we suspend this, if we amend the Constitution, we made this a constitutional amendment so it couldn't be changed easily. That's why we have to vote on this. Texas doesn't have that system, so they didn't have to have a vote. But if we suspend this, we're setting a precedent, not only for our state, but for the country. If we change the maps and give it back to the legislature to redistrict for the next 1, 2, or 3 elections, you can bet that they will come back again on the basis of this precedent and want to suspend it again. And the next time we might not like the people who are doing it so much. So I urge you to vote against this. Before the league decided that they were going to be neutral, the deputy director of the League of Women Voters of California sent a message to the legislature. And one of the things she said really resonated with me. She said, "You don't save democracy by imitating those who seek to destroy it." And I agree with that.
We have more comments back there.
Okay, so maybe we have some opposing comments here. Who was first? Valerie?
Just from the California legislature's nonpartisan office, the question you'd ask about how the districting would change, it says that it would change the congressional district maps with new legislatively drawn maps. It would not change the number of districts. We would still have 50 districts statewide. It would change the makeup of the 50 districts for Oh, okay. I haven't found that in the website yet. If I do, I'll let you know. Right now, we retain the same number of congressional 50 districts.
Okay, we have another, wait, hang on a minute. Hang on here. We have another question back here, and you can be next. Okay.
Hi, I very seldom would disagree with Jane on this kind of an issue, but I consider myself a rule follower, retired teacher here. And when this subject first came up, I, kind of questioned it, but I think that we are living in very different times right now. And while I agree that we don't want to set bad precedents, I think we have been lying down and just being a doormat. And so I agree with the governor on this issue. I don't agree with him on everything. But I think we are doing this. The league, and I know they're not taking a position, but one of the main things about the league is defending democracy and protecting our right to vote. The thing I especially like about California, as opposed to the way they're doing this in Texas, Texas has started it, right? And, they just make the decision. The people don't matter. This is being brought to a vote to us, and there is also a timeline in there. I'm not really concerned about this continuing. I am concerned that if the next election is not really fair because of what they're doing in states like Texas, then we may not have another chance to make this decision. So for that reason, I would urge you to vote yes on Prop 50.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a question here.
The point that the number of districts remains constant is immaterial. It's how the districts are constituted. If you gerrymander the district to change the majority of voters, the character of the district is forever changed. One man, one vote is what democracy is based upon. And here you are allowing politicians to cherry pick the districts. The politicians pick the voters. And it should be the other way around. The fact that Illinois and Massachusetts and several other Democratic states have heavily gerrymandered their states to favor a Democratic vote does not make it right for us to do the same thing in California. You already have open primaries, which heavily favor the Democratic Party statewide. It's very difficult for a Republican candidate to be elected to a statewide office in this state. The only way that would happen would be if the Democratic Party was split, as happened when Gray Davis left the governorship, and this is why Arnold Schwarzenegger was able to get elected. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. This is not democracy. This is not defending the right of the people to vote or the voice of the people. It is a barefaced power grab by the governor and the Democratic Party to ensure their control in the state of California.
Other comments? Okay, we have somebody back here.
Thank you. This is more of a technical question. When you were showing the arguments for and against, there was quite a difference in the amount of money that it was going to cost the counties and or the state. The supporters said a few $1 million statewide amongst all the 58 counties, whereas the other one, I believe the against said 200 million. So there's a big difference of claiming what that is, and I don't know how we drill down and get the truth of that, what the cost really is.
Can you talk about that, Angelina?
The money stated comes from the California analysts, the LAO, I believe, the Office of the Legislative Analyst. That's where it says few $1 million for the state. And then various counties will have, of course, to change their map, so they'll need funding, their funding as well.
My comment was, is it a few million per county? Or is it few million across the whole state? Okay.
In the aggregate, all the counties.
And there was a mistake made by one of the counties, actually, I think.
The labeling. It's just in one area. You might get a postcard, or you probably will get a postcard from the Secretary of State's office, because in one of the drawings, District 22 should be District 27. But it's in other places, it's correct. But the Secretary of State, of course, is going to make that correction, and there's going to postage for 1 million or so postcards.
California, from what I understand, has always been a Democratic state, which I'm nonpartisan, but given what we have now, we can understand why it's a Democratic state. As far as the man saying that it's hard for Republicans to get in, I think the actions a couple months ago in LA area where the National Guard was sent in against the governor's request, and the people are having to pay for that action for, people who were protesting peacefully were being accosted by Republican action. So let's hope that California continues to be a Democratic state, and hopefully we will continue to be. I don't understand when the redistricting came into play? Because a couple of years ago on the local level, I wanted to vote for a certain person, and because the districts were changed shortly before that election, I was not allowed to vote for that person. Now that kind of for me, it feels like my vote or my choice to vote was taken away from me. So I was wondering when the redistricting came into play.
The redistricting happens all across the country every 10 years. Correct me if I'm wrong when I say this. With the census numbers that come out, because it's all, the districts are all based on, the number of seats that you get in Congress are all based on the number of people in your state. And so that's how it works every 10 years. So that's how, redistricting takes place. It happens all across the country in every single state. And also, California has not always been a Democratic state. There were many years when it was a Republican state. Am I right in this? Mm-hmm. Right. But things started to change, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, and anybody else, when a Proposition 209 was passed, and it was a proposition that was considered to be, it was to take money away from school, or not to allow Latinos, Hispanics, to go to school, something like that. I'm not explaining that right. 1991, maybe? I guess I'm not explaining that quite right. But things started to change when there was when there was pressure to not use public funds for undocumented children in schools, and also to make California for bilingual education. Okay. And also there was some kind of a push to make California, to insist that California be an English language only state. And things started to change after that. Those were Republican measures, and people voted them down. Okay. Am I about right on that? Close. Okay. I belong to the League of Women Voters, but I'm not an expert on things. Okay. Anybody else?
I know you have to get on to Measure B, which is a very important measure. I just had a comment on people. I mean, I wish that those who are, and I supported, Prop 11 and redistricting by independent commissions. I'm really, really concerned. I don't know about everybody else, but not only are our First Amendment rights being impacted by this federal government, but our Fourth Amendment rights. As a person there said, people are being taken off the streets by masked individuals. I mean, like, are we living in the United States of America, or where are we? So, I mean, it's something to think about, and I don't know, maybe there is a better way to do that. I wish the Republican Party would grow a spine and, and say, we want to protect the Constitution, but if somebody has a better idea of how to deal with this, I'm certainly willing to listen. Thank you.
At the end of the day, we have a secret ballot in the United States, and nobody can tell you how to vote. You vote with your mind and your heart. Nobody can, force you or even say, how did you vote? You don't have to answer anybody. Okay, Joe.
But so many things are so confusing. I don't think I'm much clearer on this Proposition 50. All I know is we're fighting for democracy. So if this helps it, I'd vote for it. What's the sense of playing by the rules if your opponent is not?
Okay. One more question. We're going to do one more question, and then we're going to move on to Measure B.
I think if you really want to reinforce democracy, you need to hold your representatives accountable. You need to go to the town hall meetings. If you don't agree with what's coming off of Washington, then you need to make sure that your congressman votes accordingly. The problem is that the legislature, by and large, has abdicated its responsibility. House of Representatives and the Senate both. And they've let MAGA and the current Republican administration run roughshod over procedures and normal practices. And I agree that that's wrong. But the way to counter that is to hold your elected representatives accountable and see that they vote in a manner that you feel is appropriate on these matters. Right now, the only thing protecting us is the courts. Well, that's it until it gets to the Supreme Court. But, you know, that's an open question, what will happen with the Supreme Court. But the lower level courts and the appellate federal courts have pretty much ruled against many of the executive orders. And that's what we need to reinforce.
Okay, thank you. We need to move on because we have one more, the local measure to learn about. Okay? So keep these thoughts in your head and in your heart, and, you know, you'll vote on the way you want to. Okay. Anna.
Thank you. Yes, you may or may not be aware that there will be another measure on our ballot here, just for our community. It's Measure B, which is the Washington, this is like kind of a tongue twister, Washington Township Healthcare District. It's a parcel tax. It's very simple. Basically, it's the question is, shall voters approve a 5 cents per square foot parcel tax? And what they want it for is to provide access to the highest level of life-saving emergency and medical care for trauma patients, victims of heart attacks, strokes, and cancer, keep medical equipment and technology up to date, reduce ER wait times, and ensure our community has highly qualified doctors, surgeons, and nurses. So bonds, this is not a bond, this is a parcel tax. Bonds are for construction projects, parcel tax are for operations. And it is a 5 cent, like I said, per square foot on your house or business, on the size of the house or business. It's not on the whole lot, it's on the size of your house. So for most residents of our community, it would be about $87 a year on your property tax bill. And it's estimated to generate between 12 and 14 million annually for the next 12 years. A little bit of background, I didn't even know this, there's 79 hospital or healthcare districts in California. Those healthcare districts were created by voters and are owned by the residents of those communities. Here in our area, Washington Hospital that's our public hospital, and it is owned by the local residents of Fremont, Union City, Newark, and Sunol. All the profits, so most of the time hospitals are owned by big corporations, but this one is not. This is a public hospital, and all the profits are reinvested to provide health care. The Washington Township Healthcare District was formed in 1958 when there were 18,000 residents in our area, and now there are more than 350,000 residents in our area. The writers of this measure are saying that because of reduced state and federal funding, because of insurance companies reducing the amount of reimbursements and the dollar amount of reimbursements, that this is really needed to continue to provide top quality healthcare for our community. I didn't know this either. This is Southern Alameda County. It's our only trauma center. It's our only cardiac arrest receiving center. It's our only primary stroke center. That is that proposition. Before we get to some questions on that or comments, we would like to invite you to our website where there's, hold on, did I skip a slide? No, I did not. This is our website where you can see the list of programs and events coming up. You can also, if you miss, I think they mentioned this earlier, if you miss a program or event and you're really interested, you can find the video here on our homepage. And there's also a lot of voter information and links to other sites to help figure out how to get a ballot, how to register, how to track your ballot, all those kinds of things. You can get to those through our website. That's it. Can anybody have a question or comment about Measure?
Actually, I do, since I have the mic. Ha-ha.
Okay.
Ann, can you go back to the slide where it shows the expenditures? Right there. So this is supposed to be for mostly trauma, cardiac care. I think there was another one. But what confuses me is urgent care clinics and outpatient health centers. How does that apply to the trauma and cardiac care initial response?
So what they're saying is that it's not only for the trauma center, but for all of the Washington Hospital affiliated services, the funding will go for that. Or the funding can go for that.
How do people who belong to Kaiser feel about that? Just curious.
So can I just say one thing? So I was in a car accident last year, and I'm a Kaiser member. And when I was taken by ambulance, and I said, "Where are you taking me?" And they said, "The Washington Hospital Trauma Center." And I said, "But I'm a Kaiser patient." And they said, no, everyone goes to this new, and it was brand new. I didn't even know it had opened. Brand new trauma center that opened last year. And so even if you're a Kaiser patient, that's where you go. Kaiser does not have a trauma center.
That was my question. I've been living in Union City for 40 years. I belonged to Kaiser since 1981. Mm-hmm. I've never gone to Washington Hospital, so why should I pay a parcel tax? It doesn't make sense.
Well, yeah.
Washington Hospital has improved a lot. We've been in the community for, I don't know, close to 60 years. When we first got here, I was pregnant with our daughter. And a bunch of us who were in the same Lamaze class were, again, I'll use pissed off again. I like that word. Because they didn't allow fathers in the delivery room then. And all the people on the board, I'm sorry, gentlemen, were all men. And the director of the hospital was a man. And they hadn't changed office in decades. So we formed our little group called Consumers for Family-Centered Healthcare. And we did our research, we wrote a paper, we got endorsements from around the country from top-level OBGYNs, and we presented it to the board. At that point, they were deaf. But what happened was people started going to other hospitals, and their birth rate dropped while Fremont was growing. And when it hit them in the pocketbook, they wised up, and they started to change things. They supported education for pregnant women, and they allowed fathers not only in the regular delivery room, but for C-sections too. But it took years for this to happen. In the ensuing decades, they've improved enormously. And we've unfortunately had to use the emergency room several times, and it's wonderful. I mean, they are absolutely top level. They're now a level 2 emergency room area. And there aren't that many in the Bay Area that are level 1 or 2. So we're very lucky to have them. And they've, as I say, they now believe in women as well as men.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, we have one back here, and next, and next. But I didn't look on that side. Okay, all right.
So my question is, how is this tax different from what we're already paying on our property tax to Washington Hospital?
I did look into that. I believe that what we're paying for is because I looked at my own property tax bill and we're already paying something. I believe that is a bond that we are paying, and that's for capital expenditures for buildings and capital expenditures. This is different. This is a parcel tax that would pay for services and people. It's for ongoing, just funding services and to hire more doctors and nurses, et cetera. Mm-hmm.
Has there been any research done on other public hospitals and how they raise money for these same kinds of services?
I am not aware. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'll try to find out for you.
There's an answer
Yeah.
right behind Phyllis, a person with a possible answer.
Phyllis, very nice to meet you, or see you again. So I'm, in full disclosure, I'm Angus. I actually work for the healthcare district here on my own time, though. So most healthcare districts do have a parcel tax. We're one of the few that does not. So for public entities, this is a mechanism they use for funding. In terms of Kaiser patients, you make a really good point. It's not very well known that for as long as I've been at the hospital in the last 20 years, we've always served Kaiser patients in our ED. We have a contract with Kaiser to look after people who come into our emergency department because we have a higher level. We offer a higher level of care. Kaiser's very quick to move their patients to repatriate them back to the Kaiser hospital, but we're happy we're there when we need to care for them. And I'm very glad to hear that we now recognize women. We have a woman CEO, and most of our workforce are females. So thank you for your nice words.
Okay, thank you. Kathy.
You know, I just have a comment. I'm assuming that you may be going to put this presentation up on your website or something. So I just have a comment. You've said 5 cents is the parcel tax, and on your last slide, it did say 5 cents, but on your earlier slides, they could be interpreted to say 50 cents.
Oh,
So I think
you know what? I apologize. I actually caught that like yesterday. I'm like, wait, that doesn't say 5 cents. But it is 5 cents. It is 5 cents per square foot. Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out. It was kind of too late to, yeah, I caught that too and didn't.
Okay. One on this side and then, okay. Who did I say was next?
I'm not quite sure how to say this, but I'm the president of Greater Niles Village, and I've been going to some national village conferences and some state conferences. And I want to kind of expand the context for this because I think this is a very important tax to support, as much as I'm not always happy with Washington Hospital. The Medicaid cuts are going to devastate care for older Americans, and they're going to devastate care for the caregivers. And I want you to stop and think about that a little bit, because the population, our lifespan has grown, and the population that is now reaching 85 are the boomers, and we're reaching 85 at a rate of about 8,000 or 9,000 a day. So the demands on the caregiving system and the healthcare systems and the trauma systems is expanding. It expanded in the 1948 period by making babies. We had to really deal with that. We're still dealing with it, and we have to adapt. Those babies are now hitting 85. I want to also suggest to you that hospitals and trauma centers do not get to ask what your insurance coverage is. So they treat and stabilize everyone. It's not just for the insured. So I think it's very important that we have a great trauma center in our community to take care of everyone.
I just have a quick question for either the presenter or the man over there. Is the trauma center, is it a level 1 or level 2? And if they're a higher level, do they get extra funding? I mean, I'm not disputing, I think it's a good cause, but I just was wondering if they get extra funding for being a level 2 trauma center.
So for a level 2 trauma center, the level 1 trauma center, I believe, is Highland. They're the highest level. They get slightly higher reimbursement. Thank you. Obviously, Highland gets a ton of funding from the county. We don't. I mean, South County doesn't get funding from the county, as we know. And so we get slightly better reimbursement because we're a trauma center, but there's no additional funds that flow in.
Anna, your example of being taken with a car accident to Washington, my husband, my family, we have insurance, but when he had a heart attack in the doctor's office at Palo Alto Medical, he was taken by ambulance to Washington Hospital because that is where the acute cardiac center is. That's where you go when you have a heart attack, not to your doctor's office. It is the community hospital. And Iris, thank you for making the point that we're all getting older and grayer, and there are regardless of whether we color our hair, which I always will do, but we are not providing infrastructure to deal with healthcare in this country. And for 5 damn cents, I will volunteer to pay 10 cents on the home that I was lucky enough to be able to purchase here 35 years ago, because I want someone who is in a car accident, a bicyclist who gets struck by a car, even though we have good slowing traffic measures in town, because I helped on that committee. But we want to have that available. We need that in our community to keep all of us safe.
Thank you. Okay. Joyce.
I believe you said earlier that the funds were restricted to certain areas. And then you said there were exceptions. And could you expand on the exceptions?
No, I don't think that there are exceptions. I think that what they're saying is that they might be able to, like within that list right there, the authorized expenditures, they might be able to take some funds from this particular category and put them in this other category, but it still needs to be on that list. They can't just say, we're going to fund this whole new thing now, that money.
I know we're coming towards the end, so I just want to say that I love what Iris said about adapting to the times. And I think that goes especially true of Proposition 50, that if there's anything that can help democracy, now is the time, because it's a very dangerous time.
Question really is if the Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act subsidies are allowed to go away. I think that this partial tax would be even more valuable, I would think. I mean,
Am I on? Okay. I just want to say I'm a longtime Kaiser member, but also I was on city council for 10 and a half years. And I have, won't go into it, I had some problems with Washington Hospital, but I want to tell you that I've changed my vote today. I'm going to vote for the Washington Hospital thing. And I'm also going to do something I may be kicked off the board for doing, but I just want to say quickly, I know how hard these people have worked. They put in hours. And if you like what the league is doing, I want to invite you to join us. Okay? We've got forms you can fill out. You don't have to go online. We've got forms you can fill out, and we'll put it in online, okay? And I've been a big member for 55 years. And thank you for the applause. God, that was wonderful.
Okay, before we leave, I want to, there are two things, okay? We have 10 minutes before we need to vacate. But the two things that I want to say are the league has monthly programs. It's always the first Saturday of each month, same time, from 10 to 11:30. And for the remainder of the year, our fiscal year, let's say, from November until June, we're going to embark on a theme for our monthly programs, and it's going to be about defending our democracy, okay? The league has made a declaration that we are, and I'm talking about the National League, that we're in a constitutional crisis, and we want to bring some education to our community, and our theme, defending democracy. Next month in November, we're going to be having a program on freedom of expression, meaning the First Amendment, freedom of speech, and freedom of the press. We're working hard on getting a panel of people. And the month after that, in December, we are planning to we're planning to have presenters on issues regarding immigration. Okay? Yes. Evelyn is going to say who's speaking.
So far, we have two excellent people to come on November 1st. Alex Emsley, who is a reporter for KQED, and he has one of his titles is Ethics in Journalism, and he's graciously accepted to come talk. And then Thomas Peel, he's an investigative reporter. I think he used to work for the Oakland, he's connected now with the East Bay paper. He may be retired, I'm not sure. But he wrote a Pulitzer Prize-winning book, Killing the Messenger, the story of radical faith, racism, and backlash, the assassination of a journalist, talking about Chauncey Bailey. So both of those will be very interesting, and they know one another. We are looking for a third person to put on the panel, and so if you know of a legal expert or anyone who could talk, the theme is freedom of the press and expression. So let me know, and speech, yeah. Yeah, we've contacted everybody we know. We've gone that route. We can try again. We'll keep trying. But if you personally know of someone that you think would be good on a panel to, yeah.
Thank you. And we want to invite Toni Schellen to come up and talk about something that's important to her.
No, that's fine. Hi, I'm Toni Schellen, and I'm a league member, and I'm one of the co-hosts of the No Kings event taking place in Fremont and joining millions of people across the nation on October 18th. We know we're all facing difficult times as we watch the unconstitutional dismantling of our democracy. While the League of Women Voters is always cautious about being nonpartisan, the League believes the freedom to vote is a nonpartisan issue. For more than a century, we worked to empower voters and defend democracy. With this in mind, the decision was made by the National League to stand in solidarity against hate and authoritarianism, and has become an official partner with No Kings on October 18th. There are over 200 partner organizations. If you want to see them, you can go to nokings.org. Helen Hutchison, who is the executive director of the League of Women Voters of California, said, "This is an opportunity to put words into action and show up in defense of democracy. And as an effective ally, we encourage leagues to lean in locally and participate in activations with partners on the ground in a nonpartisan manner." So, keep that in mind when you make your own sign. We encourage you to make your own sign if you can't. We do have some there, but we're expecting thousands of people, please. Now, some of you have been to our previous protests. I've seen you there as individuals. But encouraging league members to be involved seems to me to be very much in keeping with who we are as an organization. When even our very right to vote is under attack, this is not partisan. It's about our values as Americans. And if you've been there, even though we're there for very serious reasons, we want these to be joyful, and they usually do. They feel like a community block party. And I think people are so happy to find that they're not alone. And, I don't agree with especially some of the words used on some of the signs, but most people remember they're in Fremont. But, I think we are all there because we are defending our democracy. And we're trying to get some more music there this time and just kind of make it just a festive atmosphere, because we actually are encouraged by the main organizers to make this joyful. I also want to mention that, and I know most of you got one of these flyers, but we are committed to nonviolent action and no civil disobedience. We expect people to try to de-escalate if somebody's there that doesn't agree with us. This is really, thank God, we've had very peaceful events, and that's what we want. So we'll be at Walnut and Paseo starting at 11 o'clock, and you don't have to be there the whole time. So we'll be there 11 to 1, and usually we want to pack up and people stay. Kind of depends on what the weather is. But we hope there are going to be enough people to line Paseo all the way to Maui. The last No Kings protest in Fremont drew over 3,000 people. So please consider attending and spreading the word to your friends and family. I saw a great sign the other day, and it really struck me. This man had a sign, I saw it online, that said, "It's easier to protest than to hide a family in your attic." And sadly, I don't think that's an exaggeration. I think it's scary. So anyway, thank you so much.
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank Angelina and Anna for great presentations. I want to thank everybody in attendance for your really thoughtful questions. And thank you for coming out. And we hope to see you at more of our presentations, first Saturday of the month here. Okay? Thank you.